soft-spoken was I was so concerned with keeping the volume of my voice low enough. Somebody said I seemed like I was nervous. I wasn't nervous. I was just trying to keep my voice low enough, and it was kind of difficult. I don't know. Maybe I'll do another soft-spoken one in the future, but for now, whisper. Also, yes, I did get a lip piercing. I absolutely love it. I have to say it's my favorite. It's my favorite piercing. The healing has been good so far. I got it like a week ago, and so far so good. Anyway, today I'm going to be reading some Let's Not Meet for you, so I hope you enjoy. The first one is called Creepy Lyft Driver in Vegas. There are so many stories like this. Creepy Lyft driver, creepy Uber driver, just stop being creepy. This happened over Memorial Weekend. Note, the driver has since been reported and we are considering taking matters to the police. I spent the weekend with two girlfriends in Vegas. We decided to call Lyft to Old Las Vegas. The Lyft driver was an older man from Greece. Seemed friendly enough in the beginning of the ride and no red flags yet. He started asking one of my friends questions that could be used to map out where exactly her neighborhood is without actually asking directly where she lives. Asking her questions like what state she's from, what town, what kind of stores were near her hometown, and how far away they are to her, specifically Costco. First red flag went off. Second red flag went off when we realized what should have been only a 10-minute drive was now getting closer to a half-hour ride. We had somehow ended up back at the resort we have started the trip from. We all noticed that now and asked why he did a loop like that. He answered with some type of non-answer at this point, which none of us understood, and kept driving. It was almost as if he was trying to test how drunk we were and if we would notice. At this point, no one is talking to him anymore and he keeps rambling. One of my friends has now texted her mom and I have Google Maps out now to make sure he's taking us to the right location. He then mentioned something about taking us to check out the destination we requested and then taking us to a nicer part of that area if we don't like it. Third red flag, and I'm angry now. No more being friendly. All too often, women have to choose between being friendly or not to stay safe around men. This was a moment where I needed to make it clear he was taking us to our destination or else. I angrily said, absolutely not. We're going to where we asked to be taken. Thinking he can easily mark us as dropped off, then take us to a destination where we have no idea what's waiting for us there. Blank expression on his end and no reaction to my anger, just keeps rambling, but his spot is better. He eventually drops us off in the right place and we quickly get out. What's scary about this is this man had 15,000 plus ratings, and if this were an attempt to kidnap, he must be part of a larger operation. Oh shit. The next one is called The Time I Regretted Smiling at a Neighbor. I grew up in Arizona in a relatively safe city. Before myself or any of my friends had a driver's license, we would walk around everywhere just to get out of the house to do something. Typically going to Circle K for soda and snacks or Walmart or Target just to browse around. One time when my two friends and I were 15, we were walking back to her house through her neighborhood around sunset. At that time, everyone in Arizona was fairly friendly, so whenever you would pass by another person or group, you would exchange a hello or a wave. It's not like that now. This time in particular, we were walking past a house on a corner that had a kitchen light on where a middle-aged man was washing his dishes. When he made eye contact with us, my instinct was to smile, and my friend waved at him. What a bad idea. The man immediately dropped his dishes in the sink, and what felt like 1 second later was outside on the corner staring at us in an aggressive was frozen in complete fear. He started charging towards us in full force, and I am so grateful that my friend grabbed my arm, and we all started running as fast as we could. I was so scared I was last in place. The man was well built and appeared to be in great shape and had no trouble catching up to us. As I'm running, I can hear his footsteps very close behind me. He reached his hand out, tried to grab hold of my hair, but the adrenaline finally kicked in, and I was able to speed off beyond his grip. After a while of running, we realized we were no longer being chased. We hid in safety and called my friend's mom to pick us up and told her what happened. We gave her the location of the house and all vowed never go near that house again. The next morning we wake up and our mom explains she checked the address of the house and someone living there was a registered sex offender. Not sure if it was explicitly because of this incident, but my friend moved houses shortly after this. Our moms all collectively agreed we were not allowed to walk around anyone's neighborhood, and that if we wanted to go out, a parent should be close by. I completely forgot about this until I was recently talking to a friend, and she brought this night up. Sometimes I wonder what would have happened if this man had gotten a better grip on my hair, but I'm thankful to say we got away unharmed. Today, at 27, I always carry a pocket knife and pepper spray with me. The next one is called meeting a creep in broad daylight. So this happened a long while ago, but I remember it like it was yesterday. I was 17 years old at the time, and I was walking home after getting off the bus in the afternoon. I was on the phone chatting with a friend I hadn't spoken to in a while. Someone was walking behind me, which wouldn't be strange at all because I was near a shopping street. However, something just felt off. I don't know how to describe it. When we approached a small intersection, I decided to pretend to go one way, and at the last moment I turned the other way to see if he would keep walking behind me. He did. So now I know he's following me. I turn around and I'm like, what are you doing? He was some dude in his 20s in a white shirt with dirty sweatpants and short black hair. He looks at me with the craziest eyes and says something about me having a nice ass. The way he looked at me, I could immediately tell that he wasn't all there. I told him to get away from me and continued my walk home, looking back a few times. When I didn't see him anymore, I continued talking on the phone with my friend. I'm almost home and it's sunny out. Suddenly, in the corner of my eye, I see a shadow behind me. I turn my head to the right and his face is literally behind my ear. Ew. He popped out of nowhere and followed me again, but this time he came up right behind me. I think I jumped up 3 meters high and started screaming. He remained super calm and looked at me with those crazy eyes and asked me if I wanted to go to a party with him. Let me think. Fuck no. I just ran away and got home shortly after. So eventually nothing bad happened and I never saw him again. However, I was scared to leave the house after that for a while, even in broad daylight. The next one is called the creepy neighbor with the red truck. This happened around summer 2000 in Midwest USA. I was a 12-year-old boy. I was shy and never did well with confrontation. Anytime I was scared, I'd feel myself shaking. One day my dad and cousin were weightlifting in the garage and it was open. I then decided to grab my bicycle out of the garage and ride up and down the street while my dad and cousin lifted. As I'm pedaling away from my house, I see another kid riding his bike, probably 5 to 6 houses down from mine, but he's just kind of going in circles. I maybe get like 20 feet near him, but that's it. No words were exchanged, not even a wave or a nod. I just kept my head down and kept pedaling. On my next circle back down the street, that's when things got weird. I get near the area where the kid had been riding, and he's not around anymore, so I guess he went inside wherever he lived. Right as I'm about to turn around and head towards my house, which is probably like 80 to 100 yards away, I hear a man yell, "Hey!" in an unsettling tone. I look up and a man is standing in his front door As we get closer to the house, the hair on my neck starts to stand up again. As we go by the house, I see him. He's sitting in a red truck in his driveway facing the road like he's about to pull out. I don't remember well, but I think he might have even had a grin on his face when we drove by. We pass the house and he pulls out behind us. I start freaking out a bit, so I tell my grandma the story about the man driving behind us. At first, my grandma was chill about it, but then I noticed she seemed a bit shaken. This is because she had made about 6 to 7 turns to throw him off our trail, but he kept following us every little turn. At this point, me and my brother are in the back seat with our heads down as he follows us, but luckily we made it downtown where it was busy. We get near the police station, I believe, and take another turn. Then he finally just passes on by. I never saw the man again. My mom and dad split up and we left that neighborhood 2 years later with my mom to move to the country. My dad still lives at the same house, and I wonder if that dude stuck around for a while or even if he still lives at that house. What was his intent? Was it just a coincidence, or did he plan on following us? It was so weird how it looked like he was just waiting in his driveway for us to pass by. That is really weird and creepy and gross, and I don't like it. The next one is called Hookup Gone Wrong. Male, in my 30s now, but this happened 10 years ago with the onset of Tinder and swiping apps. New to the game, mostly just wanted to get some action, but totally naive and not realizing what kind of Pandora's box can be opened meeting strangers online. It's a good thing to be weary of. I match with this cute girl, we flirt, message over a couple days, and I get the vibe she's DTF. We had plans for a few days out, but the day before she booty texts me late. Says she's been drinking, sends me some revealing texts, invites me to her house. It's late and I'm only thinking with the lower half of my body. She sends me an address that's kind of in a sketchy neighborhood. Whatever, not my first shady booty call. I get closer to this house and let her know I'm here. Weird, semi-developed neighborhood, and the house looks partially finished. I do see a light on in the basement, but weird vibes. She makes some weird comment about that and not to worry. I'm feeling sketched out, but I'm obviously committed and horny. I get out of the car and I feel the most intense sense of dread to bail. As soon as I turn around, I hear running from behind me multiple footsteps. My balls shrunk into ovaries as I ran to the car, opened the door, and locked it. I see 3 figures wearing creepy masks banging on my door's windshield, and one guy swings a bat onto my windshield. Huge crack. I dropped the keys and I tried to start the car. I was so scared. I got the key, turned the ignition, and slammed on the gas. One dude got hit by the rearview mirror and fell. I almost ran into a street pole. After recovering from my heart attack while driving, I raced home and spent the next 24 hours replaying the whole thing over and over again. Never told anyone. Made up a story about a deer hitting my car to explain the windshield. Guess I felt dumb and desperately wanted to pretend I wasn't really that gullible. Anyways, hope you enjoyed. God damn, that's intense. I bet you he never met up with anyone online again. The next one is called Found Nameless Me on Instagram. I live in a small town, and a few years ago, our local market had taken up new owners. They fired all the employees and completely redid everything, including obviously hiring new staff. At the time, I'd been a regular for around 5 years. It was super convenient because I lived down the street. I didn't have a car then, so I shopped there daily, sometimes multiple times a day. I had built up a rapport with the Over the weeks he'd creeped on me, he'd never asked my name. But he asked if I was married. He saw my ring. He also asked a million times if I had Instagram or Facebook. I glazed over the Instagram question by saying I haven't had a Facebook since high school, which is true. Sort of bypassing lying about not having an Instagram. It usually worked and ended our conversation. Finally exhausted, evading his questions, I caved when he asked again if I had an Instagram. I said yes, and that I don't really use it a lot. Oddly, during that transaction, the register was on the fritz. My card wouldn't swipe, so I handed it over, and he manually added the card, and I was on my way. I went home, made dinner, put on something to watch, and scrolled on my phone. I saw I had a friend request, and my jaw dropped. It was the creepy fucking cashier. I instantly lost my appetite and felt so uncomfortable. After deducing, he got my full name off my debit card and then looked me up, made me sick. I denied the request. Several hours later, another request along with the message, "What you up to?" Denied the request and ignored the message. Over the course of 2 days, there were multiple requests with multiple messages. How are you? How's your day? Hey, heart emoji. Trying to engage me in conversation with multiple selfies. Who sends multiple selfies? I continued to ignore him and then I blocked him. I ended up talking to a friend and she said she always felt uncomfortable and that he tried to walk her home one night. He stopped working there a couple of weeks later. Apparently complaints were made. Shocked. In retrospect, I should have been more direct / no nonsense in my responses with him. But I felt so anxious and uncomfortable, especially since it was down the street from my home. The next story is called Creepy Early Morning Traffic Stop. I was driving home from a long weekend visiting family. I am a woman in my late 20s. I had left Los Angeles around midnight and was driving back to a small town where I lived on the California coast. It was about 2 a.m. and I was tired. I was about 1 block away from my apartment when a police car drove by me on the opposite side of the road. I didn't think anything of it and kept driving down the block. Abruptly, the police car made a U-turn and started following close behind me. I got scared because my neighborhood was dark and no one was out at that hour. The police car lit up and the officer motioned for me to pull over. Mind you, I was super close to my apartment at this point, so it was extremely annoying that I had almost made it home. The officer got out of his car and tapped on my window. My driver's side window doesn't work, so I had to open my door to speak to the officer. He asked for my license and registration. He asked a bunch of questions, like where I was coming from and why I was driving so late. He started asking about me and where I lived, etc. He never said why he pulled me over, so I finally asked him. He said he saw that my brake lights were out and that's why he pulled me over. I immediately felt sick and panicked. How could he have seen that my brake lights were out? He had driven by me on the opposite side of the road, so that made no sense. He had made a U-turn to follow me, so what had made him do that? He went back to his car to run my information. I work for the government, so my plates are blocked. If an officer tries to run my info, it will show that my info is confidential. When the officer came back, his tune changed. He obviously saw I work for a government agency, and he couldn't mess with me like he clearly wanted to. Ha ha. He gave me my license back and asked me where I was going. I simply answered that I was driving home. He said, "Well, I'll watch you drive home." It was so strange. I didn't really have a choice, so I drove half a block and pulled into my gated apartment complex. Luckily, there were tons of apartment units in my complex, so we couldn't see which one I lived in. The next day, I asked my boyfriend to help me test all the lights on my car, tail lights, brake lights, etc., and none of them were out. That creepy feeling washed over me again. That officer had other intentions stopping me. I realized my plates being blocked by my government unsafe at this point. I grab my wallet, get out, and stand against the driver door. The cop looks at my license and insurance and tells me he's going to do a sobriety test. I'm thinking, what the fuck? But I know I've had nothing to drink, so I say, okay. The way the cop directed me for the walking in a straight line test had me ending my walk right by his car. When I finished, he reached over to open his back passenger door and then told me to get in. Me, what? Why? Cop, sit in the car while I look up your license. Now I had heard how doors on the back of a cop car only open from the outside, so I know if I get in his car and he closes the door, I won't be able to get out. It's like 3 in the morning, pitch black darkness on a road dozens of miles from any civilization. I am not getting in that car. Me, I'm sorry, sir, with all due respect and for my own safety, I do not want to get in the back of your car. Cop, angry. What did you say to me? Me repeating, for my own safety and respectfully, I'm not sitting in the back of your car. You can call for another officer to come out here, but I do not feel safe getting in your car. Cop, angrier. Do you realize I could arrest you right now for not obeying an order from a police officer? Me repeating again, sir. I'm not meaning to be disrespectful, but I'm not getting in your car. We go back and forth like this for several minutes, him threatening to arrest me, my friends, and holding us overnight, etc., and me refusing to get in his car. The cop then leers at me and asks, what, are you afraid of being kidnapped? Ew. This cop is really fucking creepy. What the fuck? How fucked up to even ask that? I glance toward my car and see my friends piled up at the back window watching. The 2 guys looking ready to jump out. The cop turns to look at them too. I don't know what went through his mind, but after being completely aggressive with me for what seemed forever, he finally gave me a creepy smile, handed back my license and insurance, tipped his hat, and then got into the car and drove off. At this point, I was shaking so badly that my friends had to help me get back in the car. I don't even remember if he gave me a ticket. I was so glad that I had not cried in front of this asshole. But I totally broke down once I was in the back seat. To this day,